Hi there, this is Art and Such with part 1 of my rainbow loom tutorial for the Scarecrow from the Wizard of Oz. So you can see he has lots of parts to him. Some of these pieces, like the collar and the hat, will be made separately and added on. A lot of this is optional. You don't have to have the feet cuffs or the straw on the hands, but I think it all adds a nice effect. I'm using caramel brown for the pants, yellow for the cuffs and the straw, black for the hat and the boots, and you're going to need a fair bit of that. I have green for the shirt, 4 white in total for the hands, and I am using gold thick jelly bands for the face and the collar, but this should work just as well using yellow or a skin tone band. I've also used 1 pink band for the mouth, and I used turquoise bands for the eyes, but in this tutorial I'm going to be using some dark blue beads when we get to that point. You're going to want a couple of C-clips on hand, dental floss if you're using beads or something to thread with, your looming hook, a spare hook or a couple of spare hooks, and your loom. We're going to kind of start a little out of order, but with our harder pieces, and then we'll work backwards to the easier ones until we're ready to put it together. So right at the bottom here I have our setup for the belly extension based on the design by Looming with Cheryl. Sorry, just try and ignore the part on top. We'll get to that in 1 second. But what we're going to do is come down anywhere in your loom with 3 single bands down the center row, and starting 1 peg below on the left and 1 on the right. You'll come down with 2 singles on either side. Take a single from the last side peg that you've used to the bottom peg, should be 1 down where your center singles have ended, and the same from the other direction. And we're going to cap this end piece with this single wrap twice. Above it we'll have 1 single band in a triangle formation, and once more above that. Then we're going to loop it up. So slip underneath your cap band. You're going to grab the top band and pull it to the left. Come down again and bring your next band to the right. And the last one should be going up, and you can continue coming up each of those rows. So just grab the band that you see inside the hook of the, like that curve of your peg, and loop straight up. And on this last row, alright, so once you have this before you, you can take your hook and put it through the bands on each of your top 3 pegs. You'll have 6 bands in total. Remove it from the loom and put it on the side. Next, we're going to get our collar together. Like I said, we'll get some of our hard pieces out of the way first. For the collar, I'm using gold again. And what I've done is started on the right side and come down with single bands 5 times, just overlapping, coming down. I started at the 2nd peg from the top because I want to come down diagonally next, although you could theoretically go in either direction. So once we have our 5 singles going down, we're going to come down from the right second to the middle second once with a single, and from the middle second to the right first once with a single. We'll come from the right third to the center third with the single, and center third to left second with the single. And we'll keep coming down diagonally like that, a total of 6 times. And I've made 1 more little fringe, which is coming down diagonally, but we're just skipping a peg and coming down, so you don't have to put anything on here. Not sure how well you can see the gold on here. Once you have this all in place, you're going to take single gold bands and cap them once on the end of each of these left rows. So take your single, twist it onto itself, and pop it onto the end. And you do this for each of these pieces. And then we're going to come to the bottom, and from under each of our caps we're going to be looping up diagonally. We'll start with this bottommost one. Go under your cap, grab your bottom band, bring it up once, go under there and oops, get your next one, bring it up once to the right. And then we'll come under our next set. This is on our 6th peg down on the left, and we're going to go under that cap. The angle's a little bit funny here, but it should still work fine. Lift your band to the center, go underneath in the center, and lift the next band up. We'll keep doing this. So our next set, come underneath. This is our 5th peg from the top. Go under your cap, lift that bottom one to the center, and lift the center one over to the right. And we're just going back up diagonally in the direction that we came. I'm going to kind of zoom through these next ones and then I'll hold it up for you. We're doing the same thing for each of the following, each of the remaining ones on the left. You're going under your cap, your doubled over band, looping the band back to the center and looping from the center to the right. And mine just slipped off there. That is one problem with some of the jelly bands, is they're a little bit more slippery. You can always put your hand on top and hold the band in place if you feel that something is getting too loose for you. And get that last one to the center, and from the center to the side, to the right side. So all of these pieces are looped up now, and we'll come down to the bottom on the right and loop straight up to the top. Push back all of your cap bands, all your other bands that you've looped on, and only grab that bottom band, which had come from the vertical down the right row to begin with. Once you're at the end, this part's a little bit tricky, but you're going to take a gold band, slip your hook under the top peg on the left, so the last band that you looped onto the last peg, put your gold on, and slip it through all of those bands. You're going to create a slip knot by bringing your bottom band over the top band. And then you'll want to loosen up some of your bands, starting at your left side here. I just have this upside down, but it's the same thing. There we go, right side up. Loosen your ends, and we can remove this from the loom and put it on a holding hook just by the end that you have it on. It's a pretty little frill here. We're going to do our arms next. So for the arms, you're taking 2 white bands. I will get you to make the second one on your own incidentally, but we'll do the first together, same with the leg. 2 white bands, wrap it twice, and we're going to put it onto 2 single green bands. Slide it to the center, put it onto another 2 single greens, and we do this for a total of 5 sets of green bands. So this is 2, 3, 4, and 5. 2 quick touches for the hand. We can add a single yellow, wrap it twice over the top, and make a little kind of cuff. And you can, if you like, I'm just gonna hold on to this for this moment here, put your hook through the white bands or even one of the greens. Take 2 yellows. This is going to be hard with one hand here. I usually put this on my other hook when I'm doing this. I'll just tag this onto the loom for the moment. So anchor your piece, put your hook through the hand, and you're going to pull 2 yellow bands through. There we go. Like so. And you can snip the ends of your 2 yellow bands on either side. Just watch out you aren't getting any other bands in the process. So there's a hand with a straw. You can make a second one of those. And we're going to do our foot. Once more, I have one at the ready, and I'll get you to do a second one. We're starting at the 7th peg down from the top, or anywhere higher if you like. But as long as we're higher than the 7th one to start. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We come down with sets of 2. We have 6 sets in total. It goes to the bottom of our loom. And I made the legs kind of loose and lumpy and baggy, so that's the effect we're going for here. If you want to just do a chain, you can. If you like the baggy effect, then you're going to start on the 2nd peg from the bottom on the middle and come up once. Leave 1 space, and on that next peg, so we aren't going to overlap, but we'll go to the next peg. And from there you'll go up once. We're going to do a really basic boot, 2 black bands wrapped twice, 3 times if you like on your hook. Pull that onto 2 black bands and place this on the last peg over your brown. This is on the side. We're going to go under the foot, under the black, grab the first brown, lift it up. The second brown on the left, we're going to pull over onto that center on the second from the bottom, and we'll loop up the center 1 time. We can loop up the side once more on the left, and then we'll put our hook through those center bands and pull this onto that 4th peg from the center where we've just looped up those brown pieces. So now those are all on here. You'll loop up to the right now from under your left band. So we're in the center again. Loop up the center once. And now we're going to loop up the left side once. This is on the 3rd peg from where we started. Bring these center bands, last center bands, onto that 2nd peg from where we started. So 2nd peg down into your process. It's the 8th one down the loom. And we're going to loop up 1 more time. You can loosen it where you need to and remove this from your loom. Just hold on to those top pieces. And we are going to do a kind of an ankle cuff. I think we have time for that in this video. We take a single yellow band, loop it twice onto our hook, and we're going to put this onto 4 pairs of yellow bands. 2, 3. This can always be added after the fact too. Just make sure you're getting all your pieces over. And 4. I'm going to put this on my other hook just for the moment, because what we'll do now is get another single yellow handy, and we're going to reach this around the leg. So bring the yellow around the leg, put our hook through the cap bands, those 3 bands on the yellow, like so. We'll take our single yellow and pull it back through all of those. Create a slip knot by bringing one end over the other. It's going to be a little tight. You can shift this down and use a C-clip, or we can twist our yellow piece a couple of times around the foot. Pull it into place. So come back with your 2 legs and I'll see you for part 2. Hi there, this is Art and Such with part 2 of my Rainbow Loom tutorial for the Wizard of Oz Scarecrow. In part 1 we got our arms, collar, and legs ready. So you need 2 of each of your limbs and your collar. We also got the belly extension ready. Now we're going to make our hat in this video. We're using all black for the hat and our loom is in the same offset configuration. I'm going to start close to the bottom here because I want to have a little bit of space. This is going to get kind of tight in here. So I will start at the 5th peg from the bottom. If you're counting up, we're going to take a single black, twist it once, and put it from the 5th peg from the bottom on the center to the 5th peg from the bottom on the right. We're going to come down twice the same way, so single, twisted once. This will go on the next peg down on the right, and once more. Oops, forgot I put it over itself. We're just going to twist it and put it on the next set. Again, twist it, this time down to the center. This is 4 pegs down from where we started. We're going to come up once and we're going to make a full circle. So now we're coming from the 2nd peg from the bottom on the center to the 3rd peg from the bottom on the left. And we're coming up twice that same way with our bands twisted over. This keeps it from, I think this sort of holds the shape better. And we're going to go back right onto that 1st peg. And now what we do is we start at the top and we go down once, overlapping over each set of pegs that we've just did. So with a single band, we're just going to follow that same path all the way around. I will start to move a little bit faster once we're kind of in this, so be patient with me if you're already very familiar with this kind of design. And if this is new to you, I hope this is an okay speed for you. What we do now is we're going to come underneath, find the bottom 2 bands for each set and pull them over into the center. Push down your bands as best you can. So for each set, get the bottom 2, pull them over into the center. You'll need to turn your loom around a little bit as you go. You do want to push these down because it's going to get super thick by the time we're done. Sorry about that. If you do have a loom that has holes in it or missing pieces, this is a good time to play around with it, but we can do it on a working loom as well. Some of these are going to be a little tricky to get into. Just do your very best. And we are going to do this 4 more times with singles coming straight across. So no twisting. So this will be our 2nd row of this, and then we'll do this 3 more times. We cover all of these pegs and try and keep your new layer of bands towards the top to make it easier for looping. We come under again, we grab our bottom 2, pull them over, and bottom 2 and over, all the way around. This is going to be the bottom of the hat, and we've spaced these pieces out so much in order to give it a wider brim. We'll be moving the bands in closer as we progress a little. You always want to have 2 bands on each peg. So that's our 2nd row. We're going to do this 3 more times. Keep pushing them down. We cover all the pegs and then loop up the bottom. This is a really cool strategy for making 3D things. I know DIY Mummy has some really awesome patterns. I've done the hamster and a couple of her birds and her little fuzzy critter. There are some more I'd like to try, but so this technique opens up some new doors, which are kind of cool. I'm just starting to play around with it myself, but I'm excited to see what can be done with this. Okay. That was 3. We got 2 more, and then we're gonna tighten this up and do a couple more rows. So it's 2, 3, 4, come all the way around. I know this can be a little bit tedious, but it's a somewhat short piece for us to do. We'll be done right away, relatively speaking. Okay, loop up, and we have 2 more after this, I believe. Coming over to the center. Try not to lose any. I think I did there. Oh dear. Okay, if something comes loose, just do your very best to put it back where it came from. Otherwise it can get ugly. Okay, I think this one was from here as well. There we go. Of course, you know me, I'm always ready to clean something up after the fact, even if it can't be done right away. And sometimes there are times when one needs to start over, and there's nothing wrong with that either. Okay, 2 more. 2 more. Let's go all the way around again. 3, 4. You don't really need to count it on its way around, just as long as you're making sure you get it on all of them. I think I've just got into a counting habit myself. Alright, we're going to loop up again from underneath, bottom 2, so that you have 2 bands remaining, and then we've got one more time to go through this before we make some adjustments and start on our last couple of rows here. Okay, push them down again the best you can. The last time with our 8 pegs, and then we're gonna bring it down to 6. It's gonna start getting a little lumpy right away. Because I just keep pushing it down, we will stop before it gets to be too much. Now we're gonna bring this in a little bit. So we're gonna take the bands off of this bottom right one, and we're gonna put one of those bands onto the first right and one onto the second right. So we've brought the bands from here to here and here. We'll do the same on the other side. Taking it off of that 3rd peg, we're going to put one of those bands onto that 2nd peg and one onto the 1st peg. And I know we've got more than 2 on each now, but that's okay. This last one's a little bit tricky. You're going to come underneath, pull these onto your hook, hold down your side bands, and we're going to stretch this whole piece over into the center and replace our 2 bands onto that center one just above where it was. You have to be really careful with this part. Oh no, no, no. Oh dear. And just as I say that, of course. Okay. I think I got it back. But this is what we want now. And we're going to push these down and do 3 more layers. So for each of these layers, we come around in a circle again. I'm just going clockwise. I'm kind of praying that I didn't lose or didn't get any loose bands there when I lost that one. Now we're gonna go underneath and we're gonna take off all but the top 2 bands. So if you have 3 there and you've added 2, you're just going to take the bottom 3 over. That first one should still have 2 bands. You can see it's kind of wanting to push higher up here. And as I said, I promise we'll get it off the loom before it completely pops off, but it is going to be a bit dicey here. Push all your bands down. We have 2 more sets. This is one surround. Pull up your bottom 2 and over to the center. Push those down, and one more time. Okay, last time, grab your bottom 2 bands and pull them up and over to the center. This one came off, let's push that back. Now with your hook, you're going to pick a spot and take all the bands off, going in a circle. Just try to keep them in order as best you can. And this will be the top of our hat, so we're going to take a single band, add some tension at the end of your hook, and carefully slide it through all of these pieces. You might want to do it a couple at a time just to make sure that you don't miss anything. If you're feeling very confident and brave, you can try and slide it all through together. Once it's through, we're going to create a slip knot by bringing the bottom band over the top band. So this one goes over that one. And this can be secured with a C-clip. You can even pull it through from underneath and tuck it in. I'm just going to use a C-clip for now. Leave it in a little bit, and I'll just make sure that that the C-clip part goes into the back. I'm going to grab another band just to hold this down, keep it from flopping. Now you can give it a little tug and a stretch, and it is ready for our scarecrow. We have almost all of our components. We have one more extension to make, but we will do that when we get to part 3. This is Art and Such with part 3 of my rainbow loom tutorial for the Scarecrow from Wizard of Oz. You should have it ready on your hook, your arms, your legs, and on the side you'll have your hat and your collar now. We're going to make a quick 2 side extensions. I have one ready, and I'll get you to make one as well. So we're doing a quick chain. We have a single wrapped twice onto our hook. We're going to pull this onto 4 sets of double bands. This is all green. So onto 2 green bands. Pull the center. Another 2. Third set. And last set. You can pause your video quickly, please, and make a second chain. When you're ready, come back. We're going to start our layout for the loom. There is a bit of an important detail here I want to draw your attention to, so bear with me while I go through this. We're taking 2 green bands coming from our top center peg to our second center peg. 2 bands coming down to the second pegs on either side. You'll come down with double bands 3 times on either side. And then from here, this is the kind of critical part. So this is from your 5th peg on the left to your 6th peg on the center. You're going to bring in 2 double bands. And from your 5th peg on the right to your 6th peg in the center, 2 double bands. From here, you can continue down with 2 more sets of green, double green on either side, and this takes you to your 7th peg from the top. You're going to bring 2 more bands down from that last peg to the center 8th peg, and same from the other direction. You can add your arms on the 2nd pegs down. We'll put some cap bands on, triangle caps starting under the arms from the 3rd peg to the 3rd peg, and you'll pull it up over the 3rd peg in the center. We'll do the same underneath, and again, and 2 more times. These are just singles stretched across the triangle formation. You can add your feet to those 7th pegs, left 7th peg down and right 7th peg down. I'm losing one of my bands here. I just want to get that fixed here so we don't have anything loose after. Place it on that last green band on the side. And to the other side, the corresponding peg, we'll put our other leg. Press it down a little bit. And we can, in 1 more second here, take a green band and cap off the bottom center, twist it twice, make 3 loops in total. You can make it a little tighter if you like, but you shouldn't need to. We'll add our side extensions, and then we'll do our belly after we've started our looping. So our side extensions begin with these top bands on the 3rd peg down. And from each of the following sets, we're going to take one of the bands out and stretch it over onto the loom. I'm actually going to stretch this all the way down to that bottom one over the foot, and then I'll pull my bands out. Sometimes that's the easier way. So this is how far it's stretching. From your 3rd peg down to your 8th peg down, and we're going to take one of these green bands out of each set to pull over the pegs on the side, each peg on the side. It is a little bit tight, but try if you can to get your bottom bands as much as possible. Okay, like so. We're going to do the same on the other side. Take your other extension for the side. This goes on our 3rd band, and we're going to be pulling a band out of each of the sets below here. And really take your time with this if you need to. And this is going to give a little bit of bulk to the side. And then that last one, those last 3 that we used to cap, those go on to that leg peg again. So stretch it down. I'm really having bad luck with this here. Stretch it down and put it on. There we are, finally. Okay, we're gonna start looping up, and we're gonna go under that cap. We're gonna go right up until the 3rd peg from the top, but only in the center, just the center we're gonna do. Get under your cap band and get the top 2 bands to bring them up. And we're just going to go straight up until that 3rd peg from the top. When you get to this piece that has all the pieces, you're only taking the top two again. Just bringing back the bands that were coming from before. We can add our extension. So put your extension onto your hook, all 6 bands. And we're going to put the bottom onto that 6th peg down in the center, which is where we have our diagonal bands coming up. And we're going to stretch the rest of these up to the 3rd peg on the left, the 3rd peg on the right, and the 3rd peg on the center. So 2 of our 6 bands will go onto each of these. We'll try and keep them in the corresponding order. Coming across these bands, and we're going to try and grab 1 band out of each of these side sets to put onto our side pegs. You'll have to push it down a little bit because our bands are getting kind of thick. We'll do the same on the other side. So these are reaching onto your 4th peg down on the right and on the left, and the 5th peg down. And now we can come under that 6th peg in the center. It's a little messy now, but you're going to reach under and take your 2 bands to the left and your 2 bands to the right, starting with the 2 which are on top. Once again, go under, push back all of your cap and extension pieces, take your last 2 to the side, and now we can come back to the bottom, and we're going to loop the top 2 from under our cap to the right, push it down a little, and the other 2 to the left. And now you can choose either side and loop up. You'll pull your leg back, go to the very bottom, get your bottom 2 greens and loop them upwards. Push back your caps, take your bottom 2 green. Just need to pull these to the side sometimes to make it a little easier to see. If you only get 1, you can always go back and get that second one. There we go. And we'll keep going up. Push everything back and take your bottom 2. Right to the very top. And then from that 2nd peg, from the 2nd peg on the left, we'll come into that 2nd peg in the center. So our shoulder peg, push back your arm. Again, get your bottom 2 to the center. And now we've looped up one side and most of the center row. We're going to do the right side. Push everything back, just get your bottom 2, loop them up. You will be working with a lot of tension here, so you can always move slowly and loosen things up as you're going. It's often a good idea to turn your loom around just to get a different perspective, and sometimes it makes it easier to see under some pieces. We're almost at the top, and really important, if you're like me and you're racing ahead, make sure that you get that centerpiece looped up too, because we're going to come back now, go under that 3rd peg and loop up and go back, get the bottom 2 greens. This is the hardest one of all. Loop them up. You can release some tension in some of our tighter pegs. Use your hand, use your hook. And then we can remove this from our loom. So here's our body. We're going to put a gold band across the center, across the waist, and wrap it once. Sorry, making it hard to see. We're just taking this gold band and wrapping it over the body, twisting it once so that we get a nice thick piece. We're going to focus it pull it kind of to the middle. If you have any loose bands, you can tuck them in at the back. And we have one more piece we can add to the body before we start on our head, so we'll do that now. If you want to have this little bit of straw here, or this piece here, what we're going to do is create a really fast chain. So single yellow, wrapped twice, and we're going to do a single chain. We're going to pull it onto a single yellow, onto another single yellow. You can do this as long as you like. I'm going to do 2 more sets, 2 more yellows. And I'm actually quickly going to switch my hook here because this one's really hard for me to work with. Let's get back into our skinny one here. So coming from the back, I'm going to reach in, pull through the top of that chain. I'm going to reach in again just under the belt, grab the cap bands, 2 or 3 of them. You don't have to grab them all, but you can. Pull it through the back. This can be a little bit tricky. There we go. And I'm going to take a single yellow, pull it under all of these in the back. And create a slip knot by pulling one end over the other. And this can be secured with a C-clip for now. And tuck that into one of your back pieces. If you do want another little piece on the other side, you can simply slip your hook through and take 1 or 2 yellow bands, pull them back through. This side it won't show up as much, so it's not as necessary, but it is an option for you. Reach back in a little bit lower and grab the other end of your yellow or your 2 yellows, pull it back through, create a slip knot, add it to your C-clip, and we'll turn it around and have a look in 1 second here. Yeah, these jelly buns are definitely a little trickier. Okay, there we go. As I said, the yellow on your right side won't show up as much, but you can add that or any other color patches you care for. And I'll see you back for part 4. We're gonna try and finish this all. Hi there, this is Art and Such with part 4 of my Rainbow Loom tutorial for the Scarecrow from the Wizard of Oz. We have our body at the ready with all our pieces on it, and we're going to make our head now. So using double gold bands, you're going to start from your top and come down once to the top left, and with another 2 bands to the top right. Come down with 3 sets of double bands on the right and 3 sets on the left. 4 sets of double gold bands down the center. We're going to come from our 4th left to our 5th center with 2 bands, and 4th right to our 5th center with another 2 bands. We are going to take a gold band and we're going to do a really tight cap so our face isn't too round. So double it over onto itself. This comes from our 4th peg to our 4th peg and will be raised above the center 4th peg in a triangle formation. We'll do this onto the sets of bands above, so from our 3rd to our 3rd. You don't have to double it over, but I find it makes it a lot tighter, which is nice. And one more time. As I said, I will be using beads this time, but before I do that, we have to do something to get our band ready. What I did on mine is I put a little bit of straw on the side here. So we're going to do that again. This is optional, but if you like that effect, you can take a gold, bring a yellow through that gold, and create a slip knot on that gold. Make it really nice and tight. And then we can thread our beads or our bands onto that same gold band. I'm using beads, so I'm going to thread them through. If you have beads with larger holes, or if you have just bands that you're using, you can wrap them or either wrap your bands 3 times on your hook or place your beads on your hook and just thread them directly onto your band. I'm using my beads, so what I'll do is put my beads onto a piece of dental floss and then bring the dental floss through the gold band, leaving that yellow piece on the end for the hay. I'll turn this around and bring it back through my 2 beads and give it a nice slow but firm pull until it's right on. With the yellow facing to the left, I'm going to put this from my second peg on the right to my second peg on the left. Split the eyes a little bit, and I'm going to take that center piece, separate it so that one of the pieces will actually come down this time. This way it won't get as lost in the hat, but they will stay separate. So there is our head, and those are the little eyes there. There's our piece of straw. The hat comes on after, and the only other thing we need is our body, which can be placed face up onto that fifth peg down the center. And I've just stretched them down and out to the side a little bit. We're going to loop up, so come underneath and bring your top 2 bands to the left. Push it down a little. Your next 2 to the right. And the last 2 are going to be coming up. I'm going to do my sides first and then finish my center. It will be kind of tight here. So push back your bands, take and get your bottom 2 golds. Bring those back up to that 3rd peg down, 3rd peg from the top. We're going to loop upwards, push back your cap bands. You can kind of ignore that yellow piece and just keep looping. We're almost done. When you get to this top, you're going to take the bottom 2, bring it back to the center. Now we repeat on the right side. So come under your cap bands, just get your bottom 2 and loop them upwards. Make sure you're getting 2 every time. The last 2 are coming to the center. We're going to loop up the center, push back those eye pieces. Sorry, that one eye piece. And last one, you get an extra gold band or a clear one if you prefer. You're going to go through the bands on that top peg, bring your securing band through, and create a slip knot by pulling the bottom one over the top one. We can remove this from our loom. Pop your eyes through as best you can. You can see my beads are pretty small. I'm going to tuck that securing band in the back, and it's going to go onto another C-clip. I'm using them very liberally this time. We're going to put our collar on. So you'll put your hook through the securing band, and you can put it through another band too if you want, just to keep it a little tighter. And we're going to reach around and grab the top band on the other side, one of the top bands. So loop it around the neck, and we'll turn it over, grab the top of the other one through the back, and we're going to take another band, pull it through all of these, and create a slip knot by pulling one end over the other. If it's too loose for your liking, you can grab a couple more bands and loop them over each other, secure it a bit more. This can be woven up or fit in on your securing band. I think I'm actually gonna weave mine down to this lower one. It doesn't matter so much as long as it's out of the way and it isn't popping up on you. Okay, you can shape that a little bit, pop your eyes out. And I think our last thing to do is to cut our piece of straw at the side of the head. So cut it once. You can make it a little shorter if you like. Just make sure your knot is secure. And for your hat, there it is. Make sure your C-clip is to the back and you can press it right on. You can put a C-clip on, and if you want it to be really, really snug, then you'll take a black band. You'll pick a spot or a couple of spots on the back of the head. Go through the hat, go through the head, go through the hat again. Bring your black band back through. Come through again just to the side of that spot. And you'll put your black back on the hook and pull it through again. This is, as I say, it's a little bit tricky, some of this, but as you get the feel for it and practice it more, it's not so bad. Sorry, I keep coming out of camera there. I'm just going to put this black band over the C-clip in the back as well, the one where I put my main securing band. Now you can add added C-clips. You can leave the hat off. You can tug it down a little bit more if you want. The eyes can be larger. I didn't put the brown nose. I thought it looked a little bit funny after a couple of tries. I will show you if you want the little mouth. You'll come in from the back through the face. Kind of pick the spot where you want it. Put your end of your single pink on the end of your hook and pull it back through. And go back through the back to the front again. It's actually easier to look from the front. But at any rate, you're going to pick another spot. Try and keep it lined up. Put your pink on again and pull it back through. And this can be secured with the C-clip. You can put another band through. You can hook it up to another C-clip, tighten it, adjust it, move it around to wherever you want it to be. I'm going to make mine a little bit tighter here. Alright, and there you have it. You lay this down, you can have a good look. And there is your Scarecrow. Thanks for watching. I hope you'll check out the rest of my Wizard of Oz set.